In this video, I'm going to talk about the array functions in Grasshopper. I've already built a number of these, and I'm using the different types of arrays that are available. I'm going to zoom in a little closer so you can see in detail what I have here. Now, a lot of what you'll see here, things you've done before, maybe a few things that are new, but you should be able to make copies from previous Grasshopper files or create new ones, whatever's easier for you. You'll find the array tools on the Transform tab. Here's the panel right here. The ones that we're going to be working with, and these are in the order from top to bottom in my Grasshopper file: rectangular, curve, linear, and the polar one. So you could bring all of those in or bring them in as you build them. So this first one is using the rectangular array. So right now I have the preview off. I'm going to select all of them, right click, and preview on. Okay. So this works, similarly to the way that a grid would work, but there's maybe some differences in how it's structured. So in this case, I'm using a 4-segmented polygon, and I've set the radius to 2. So just by the way, under array, if I was to click on rectangular array, that's how I generate this tool. What's different about this in the grid is the way that the kind of definition of rows and columns is made. In this case, I've done it using a rectangle. So in other words, this rectangle is 6 wide and 5 high, and I can kind of bring them closer or separate them as I need to. Okay. In terms of the count, so this is, again, where we have some similarity between the grids that we worked with before. This is giving me basically the number of these geometries in the X direction and the number in the Y direction. Okay, so I think you should be able to find all of these tools, again, through past exercises that we've done, or to just do it, double click on the screen and search for them. So for the forms that I'm using here, the polygon is coming from the curve tab under primitives. The number sliders, you're hopefully familiar with where to find those, or again, just make copies. And again, under transform is where you're going to find all of the arrays. So that's the first one. And so now I'm going to select all of them, right click, preview off. And then I'm going to go down here to the next one. I think I gave them to you out of order. The second one is the linear one. So I'm going to right click, preview on. Okay, so let's take a look at what the differences are here. So this is the linear array, polygon, the radius, the segments, same sort of structure there. And you could increase the number of segments and the size as you see fit. So a few things that it's asking for that are maybe a little bit different. So again, the geometry input is going to be the polygon, the count down here. You're going to use a slider for that. Maybe one thing that's new here is this vector 2-point. All right, so where do you find that? Under vector, and it's this one right here, vector 2-point. Basically what I'm doing is I've established a starting point, which is this one here, and a sort of a vector, which again is the direction that you're going and the length or the magnitude. So when I click on this, I have these 2 values. Okay, and I can shift that a little bit as necessary. Now, in this case, this vector 2 point, it's defining, the distance between the first two, and it's then going to repeat those as we go down the line. Okay, so if I have more counts, it just keeps adding them on to the end of that. But again, this is being controlled through a 2 point vector. And just as a reminder, this one here is a construct point. So you can, double click and type in construct point to produce this one, or copy it from one of the other files. Okay, so zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to turn this one off. And the next one is going to be the polar array. Okay, so again, I'm using that same polygon as my starting geometry. I have 4 counts that I've included here. Let's make this a little smaller so you can kind of see what's going on. They all have the same center point, and so that is why we're getting this kind of, I don't know what you'd call it. It's maybe not an array where things are separated or they're away from the center. There is a way of producing that, but for the time being, this particular array, all the objects are going to have the same center. Okay, now one thing that you're going to need to do for this one with the slider is we really want to have a higher number of degrees for this. So again, you can, reconstruct a number slider or double click on it and change the max value to get 360 degrees. Okay, that's the polar array. And I'm going to turn that preview off. With this last one, it is an arc curve, or I'm sorry, an array curve. An array that uses a curve as the basis for the sort of duplication of the geometries. So I'm going to turn this on, preview on, and you'll see how this one was constructed. Polygon, no difference with that. It's going to plug into the geometry. The number of them, we've seen this one, this type of repetition method before. What's unique about this one is that it is a curve that's forming the sort of structure behind the array. You can use different kinds of curves. In this case, I decided to use an arc. So when I hover over this, it's an arc 3 point, and you'll find it on the curve tab. It's this one right here, arc 3 point. You can open it up and also find it in the longer list. There it is right there. So what you need to do with this one is, as the name suggests, define 3 points. So these are constructed points, with just the X and Y identified. I decided to start from 0, 0. So that's this point right here. If I click on these, you can see which point is being defined by the X and Y. Okay, so you can kind of, alter the shape of the curve, flatten it, make it a little bit more curved, depending on where you set those X and Y coordinate points. Okay, and again, the slider for the count. If you wanted to make more than this, you could redefine the count number for any one of these. This one is maxed at 10, but you could make that value higher. Okay, so those are the 4 array types, and you basically want to reconstruct these and generate screenshots of each one that include just the particular array that you're focused on. So there should be 4 images associated with this particular exercise.